Got a shiny new logo and everything. I just made over with some AI generators.
Man, I saw
and
that.
shit.
Yeah, that's all AI?
Dude, yeah, I spent a couple
What?
days messing with different AI generators and yeah, came up with like some different Doobyis logos, some new flying formation logos, at-sick logos,
dope,
all
man.
of it, man. Yeah.
I've been kind of like testing the waters a little bit with the AI stuff, but like, I don't know how far to take it. Because eventually it's going to get to a point where like AI is just writing all the songs too, right?
Yeah, that's the scary part there, man. Okay, there, I just put us both on screen.
All right.
People could hear us talking about AI and my new logos there, but that's all good. But yeah, so welcome aboard, everybody. This is Fly in Formation. My name is Doobyis. I talk to different artists across the country every week, try to learn more about the various hip hop scenes and kind of do what I can to just like offer up information to people and get the spotlight on more artists and try to get artists networking, all that good stuff. Today, I'm talking to somebody who I've actually met before, which is almost a rarity at this point with Fly in Formation. But my homie Self, I knew you from up in Edmonton. Now you're down in Calgary. Welcome aboard, dude.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, man.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So, new album, right? It came out of nowhere. I didn't see this one coming. How long had you guys been planning this?
It's been in the works for a couple years now, but a lot of it is things that we've been talking about for years, building up to it, getting to like this point. And then when we kind of had a set structure of how we wanted the songs to go, we just kind of reached out to the homies at Get Down Records and, you know, showed them what we had, and they were all for it. So they kind of lit the fire under us to like, all right, you guys got to finish it now because we're going to do this, this, and this. You guys are going to need a video. And we're like, all right. So we just, you know, shout outs to the homie D, because if it wasn't for him, man, like none of it would have happened. He kind of dragged me across the finish line on this one.
Nice, man. So Guardians of Boombap, is it episode 1 or volume 1 or what?
Episode 1.
Episode 1, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about the other 3 dudes that you made the project with?
Yeah. So D, he's also from Edmonton as well and has been making beats for years and years, but very ghostly with it. He's not like out at shows or, you know, putting his beats out there. So
I've heard dude's name over the years, but never actually shook his hand or anything.
It's literally like a ghost, man. It's like people don't know if he actually exists, you know. But he, you know, I met him years ago and we had been working together doing some collabs, and usually on his beats, sometimes on this dude named Skip Sanders, who's got a beat on that album as well. And yeah, we've been working together for years, and he put me on to these other dudes, Gilly from the Netherlands, who I kind of had heard about, but never really like dug into his stuff or anything through like that Shogun connection.
Right.
And shouts out to all those dudes out in the Netherlands because they've been holding it down. And then Restless, I believe he's from Bristol. He's a UK producer.
Okay.
And that's a dude that's also been working with D as well. They've been putting out like cassettes for years. So.
Oh, nice. Okay. So they have both those dudes have previous work with D. That was kind of the connection then?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to ask too about the Shoguns, man. Like I've still got like a sticker on my Volcano that's like a Shogun sticker you gave me probably 15 fucking years ago or something. But like
probably, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's right there beside this dope like touch sticker that you can read touch forwards or backwards. You ever see those stickers?
Nice. I did, yes. Yeah. I think I got one of those too.
Yeah, man, they're both on my Volcano. The best thing I've ever paid for. They're well decorated, you know. But dude, so how did you link with the Shoguns in the first place? Like, what the fuck? I was always kind of surprised by that or whatever. Didn't know how.
So when I first started, like I was just doing this, you know, just in my house. I wasn't really telling anybody or going out and doing stuff. I was just kind of like working on the craft and, you know, searching through beats and stuff on YouTube this is before me and Press, who's my actual brother, were putting out songs together. So he didn't even really know that I was actually dabbling with writing and stuff. Right. So I met Kickback on YouTube. Kickback is another producer from Edmonton, right? And close homie of mine, very dope.
Again,
and,
elusive, right? Like
very elusive. Yes, you might find him in your local record.
You guys hung out in the shadows and shit.
Yes, yes. But he had been linking up just like through YouTube beats and stuff like that with the producers from the Shoguns, like Propo and Truffle, and you know their MCs, Elmatic and Blabbermouth. And then as the years progressed and that relationship built, he was like, yo, I know this dude named Self. And, you know, he put me onto them. And then he ended up moving out there and spending a few years in the Netherlands with them, just like solidifying that relationship and making beats. And they put out vinyl and, you know, did crazy shows and opened up for tons of cats. And eventually the relationship that I had with those guys just kind of strengthened through that. And then to the point where they were just asking me to be on their projects. So they would just send me a beat, I would record to it, and then send it back, and I wouldn't hear anything from a few months. And then, Kickback would show up at my work, and he would have a record and be like, here you go. And be like, oh shit. All right.
Was it Kickback? Like, so D messaged me the other day on Facebook, just kind of like promoting the album or whatever. And we talked for a little while, and he was like, I don't know if we ever met or not. And I was like, did I meet you working with Self at the record store in the mall there the one time? That was Kickback.
Yeah,
okay.
That was Kickback.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dope. Good to know the connections. But yeah, dude. So like this album, like you guys set out, 3 years ago to put this thing together. It said on the bio or whatever. So like
pretty much, man. And like a lot of those songs, I think it's 12th Entry. That's the Skip Sanders beat. We've been sitting on that track for years, and we're just finally like, we got this opportunity to do a project like this and get something on wax. Like we got to, pull from the vault and put something classic out there too. Right. And it turns out that it's like everybody's favorite song.
Dude, yeah, that's a super nice one. I noticed when I loaded it up on Bandcamp, that was the one that, you guys have set to play first or whatever, but yeah, the rolling bass line on that's a beautiful beat.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I noticed there was a little bit of other production on there. You have one from Jazzscapes who has passed at this point, right?
Yes. So that's another dude that I met just YouTubing it up, link up with a dude. And he was a great guy. And we made probably like 10 or 11 tracks together, and he had a bunch of albums and stuff like that. And he passed away, I think 2011, I think 2012.
Did I hear you say in a bar on there that he was shot by police? That
he was, yeah.
Jesus.
He was, I don't want to get into too much, just like out of respect for his family and stuff.
Sure,
but,
no, we don't need the whole story or whatever, but
that did happen.
Suffice to say, one too many, another gone to police brutality and police using their goddamn guns too quick, man. That sucks.
Totally, man. And that's what led to that bar. I was, and again, that track is like years and years old. I don't even know if I would use that kind of language now. I try not to even swear in my stuff, but at the time it was really raw, man. And having to deal with all that was, it was crazy. And I never even met the dude face to face. I was just talking with his, his two brothers, and even had some messages with his girlfriend. And
where was he from?
Crazy. He's from Fitchburg in Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, I think it is.
Okay, damn. So this one's called episode 1, man. Is there episode 2 on the way? Or you guys? I mean, when you name something and the first one is like episode 1 or volume 1, everybody's like, okay, so when's the next one?
Totally. So it's already kind of like in production now. I don't know the full scope of it because it's more on the producer side of it. So we're kind of waiting for them. I know they have a few tracks already done.
Nice.
I got some beats sent to me just a few days ago, actually. So I'm going to check those out and try and get back on it. But I think it's like, this is me speaking for somebody else, obviously. So this might not be 100% factual, but
sure.
The main scope of it is to try and include as many artists, kind of making it like almost like a sound bombing, if you remember those from Raucous.
I do, yeah.
And just have like a collective of producers that are just putting work in for MCs, and then just bringing different types of MCs all across the world, I guess.
I was just gonna say across the entire world. Do you find that there's a shortage of MCs and producers to work with in Canada, or like what's up with branching out so far? Is it just whoever you find that's dope?
Yeah. And, for a project like this, it's really, it's a taste project. It's not going to be for every single hip hop head. Right. It's very dark and almost like dreary, and in the sounding of the beats and the vocals and stuff. So modeling it to that, it suited certain artists and certain styles, and those producers, they just reached out to us too. So, I'm assuming in the future it's going to open up, but yeah, I know there's tons of dope Canadian producers out there, and D is one of them, and so is Kickback, and I've rocked with tons of local guys as well.
Yeah,
K Riz and you had me dancing in the rain, man.
Hell yes, man. Yeah, I remember that track. Well, and your brother Press, is he still around producing? Are we going to get more Liberators work in the future?
Yeah, it's now that we're all older, man. Like when we were younger, things were smooth and just like straightforward. You can just tackle it head on. But now everybody's got lives, and we got kids and
dude, I was almost going to say it's the opposite. Aren't we all like old enough that we're starting to get some stability in life or whatever?
No, I don't know, man. Maybe.
Okay.
But just getting things like that squared away first. And then, he'll throw me a beat like a couple times a month or something like that. And same with the Libs, man. Like we got our own family stuff going on, and we'll be trying to collab when we can. And we do have some stuff in the works, and we're trying to build, without giving too much of it away, we're trying to build like a universe for hip hop in a way. So that might include cats from across the pond, or it might be Americans or Canadians or dudes from YEG, or even the dope MCs from Calgary. Like there's so many dope MCs down there.
Yeah,
it really is
dope MCs across the country, man. Well, and beyond, of course. But dude, since starting to do After the Smoke is Clear, like my Rolodex of MCs who like I know and like the work from is just it's huge at this point, man. Like
that's dope.
So many.
What was that collective that you were telling me about again?
Sons of Boombap. The Sons of Boombap. So it's run by a guy named Shark the SOB. SOB stands for Sons of Boombap at this point.
Nice.
and yeah, it's basically like a Facebook group with like I want to say like 200 plus members that are mostly Canadian dudes, but like there's definitely some guys from overseas. Like there's some UK guys and some Americans in there too. But it's just like-minded guys that like making music. Like you said, it sounds similar to what you were saying you want to do there. Just get as many people involved with making dope music the way that we want to make it, right? Like
totally.
It's, and like you said, it's not for everybody. It's Boombap. Speaking of which though, man, the title of this album, Guardians of Boombap, kind of made me think like I want to ask, like, who are you protecting Boombap from? Who does Boombap need to be guarded from at this point?
I don't even know. I think it's more of a play on, the whole comic book vibe of it. And we tried to tackle that with the art too. And it turned out great, but I don't feel there's any gatekeeping, I'm even trying to like, I've kind of found myself getting like pigeonholed into like just the boom bap stuff. So now that I'm older, I find it, it's not as challenging as it once was. If you get a dope boom bap beat, or if you like put on a DJ Premier beat, you can write a 16 in 20 minutes, but it might not be anything that's like groundbreaking for you personally. So I'm reaching out to even new beats too. And same with like press, making that style of beat eventually gets old too. You want to make different things, different tempos, and maybe not even boom bap, maybe like some dance stuff. And
man, just keep it pushing and expand your own repertoire or whatever. I think
exactly. And makes you better as an MC, I think.
Exactly, man. People who don't do that, they're getting bored with it and then they quit.
Oh, dude,
that's right.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'm like going into ciphers and stuff and ripping boom bap beats, and then as soon as something else comes on, I'm like kind of backing up a little bit. It's like, no, I want to be able to jump on that too.
Yeah, I agree completely, man. I think MCs, like, it's all just a different rhythm. Like you gotta change the delivery a little bit, but it's all just a different rhythm. It's words to a rhythm, one way or the other. Let's see. So, where were you recording at? That was the other thing I wanted to know about this album.
Just the basement, man. Just my own little setup in my when I probably did those songs, I was probably sleeping in Press's basement and recorded them just in a cement basement.
Nice. Does Press engineer for you, or is it like a late night solo mission type deal?
Pretty much solo missions, learning different programs throughout the years, like starting from Cool Edit and now got Ableton, and the steps in between that led up to that. So
for real,
and when I first started, it was bad. Like the quality was bad. I would send my stuff to Shoguns and they'd be like, bro, we can't really use this. Sorry. Oh shit, my bad. I gotta spend some money.
Yeah, fair enough, man. That's what it all comes down to: money and know-how. And at this point, you're right. Like you can kind of self-teach with tutorials and shit, at least up to a certain point.
Yeah, definitely.
The technology's come so far that it makes.
So then, by that point, you get it to a certain spot, then you just send it off anyway, and
let somebody else
put those final touches on it.
For real, man. Who mixed and mastered this one? I think I saw the credit, but I can't recall it off the top of my head. Somebody overseas, or
somebody overseas. I think, unless it was D. Okay. D might have done it too.
It is on the Bandcamp thing. I shouldn't ask that question if I don't know the answer to it.
I'm on it. I should probably know.
Fair enough. So, dude, you recently moved down to Calgary. I wanted to ask you about just the difference in the Edmonton and Calgary scenes. Are you getting out into the Calgary scene at all?
No, not as much. I've kind of like stumbled on a few things just like out and about, and people are doing like an outdoor thing, kind of like similar to like little festivals and stuff. Like I'm kind of close to downtown, so there's always things kind of happening.
Nice.
But kind of separate, like not separating, but just staying a little bit separate from the scene. It's a tricky situation, kind of jumping back in, like being sober and stuff. It's a jumping back into bars and ciphers and stuff like that. I got to be careful, I
A
think.
lot of temptation out there and stuff. Yeah.
Totally, man. Yeah.
For real.
And so I'm just kind of working on the craft on my end, and then when I'm ready, jump back out.
Nice, man. Can I ask you, like, when you lived in Edmonton, did you have an opinion of Calgary hip hop, and has it changed since moving there? Because I know I did when I lived in Edmonton. I was always like, there is no Calgary hip hop scene, is there? There's fucking 4 guys down there, or whatever. Like,
I guess I've been blessed, man. Like a long time ago, Jade and I, Jade, another MC from Edmonton, we got invited down to do, I don't even know if they still do it, but it was hosted by the dudes from Dragonfly Empire, Cosm and TK.
Those 4 guys that I mentioned, yeah. It's only 2, but yeah. There's a couple others on the scene.
Yes. And they were doing like a 10 at 10 or something like that. And it would be like 10 artists all in a night at a certain pub or something like that. And when we came down and did it, we saw a bunch of local acts and met a couple dudes, and the talent is there, man. There's a lot of very dope MCs here. But being from Edmonton, there's obviously like that point of we're better, there's better MCs here. But
well, I've just been trying to decide, like, if it's just that I lived in Edmonton for long enough that I met a bunch of dope MCs, or if like Edmonton really has something special up there. Cause like there's a bunch of dope MCs up there who've been doing it for like 20 years and have like,
oh man,
catalogs of music, whereas like Calgary, like, and doing AtSick, like I could name 20 MCs from Calgary now too. Yep. But a lot of them are like, upstart guys or whatever. And like, I don't feel like the scene is really quite as, I don't know, quite as developed or quite as maybe it just hasn't been there as long. But not to say that there isn't a bunch of talent there right now. Shouts to the dudes that I play in Calgary, but it seems like the scene is building there maybe a little bit more from outsider perspective.
There seems to be a ton of shows going on though, like Mike Cyphers throughout the week and different events going on like weekly. So maybe it's in its grassroots right now where people are just finding their legs. But
that's beautiful.
I don't know enough about it to speak on it, but when I hear like the locals, some of it's dope, man.
I know of a few. I know of a few like open mic nights. There's like Ship Hop goes on down there, and they do like freestyle and like different like freestyle games and shit that they make the MCs go through or whatever. I think.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, man,
it's challenging.
Be fun to take on for sure. Dude, you just chopped the hair off. Is that?
I did, man.
Yeah. Yes, how long had you been a long hair before that?
Oh, dude, like 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
Like for most of my kid's life, and he just turned 10. So like when I cut it all off and I picked him up, he was like, "What happened, man? What did you do?" I was like, I needed a change, man."
It's like those reaction videos where the baby starts crying when they see their dad without a beard or whatever. Yeah,
dude, for real.
Yeah. Dope, man. So you mentioned sobriety. Is this you turning over a new leaf in life? You're the clean cut new self?
Trying to, man. Doing... like I'll still smoke every now and then, but it got to a point where just like the alcohol was too crazy. I don't know if you ever saw me at shows, but like I don't remember a lot of them. I was always just like buzzing around, doing crazy stuff.
I was always impressed by your ability to get on stage and do what you needed to do while you were liquored up like that, man. Honestly.
Yeah. And it just got to a point where it's like, I can't keep doing this, For
real. Dude, I think a lot of MCs find that sobriety and I think that offers stability in life too, to a degree.
100%.
That's finding some stability in life. But I think, like you were saying, like, there's always family stuff and people start having kids and stuff. And then there's a lot more time demand there or whatever. So yeah. But yeah, dude, as far as like trying to walk the sober hip hop path, I've talked to a lot of guys who I think are making like really dope music and have kind of maybe strayed away for a while from hip hop and then come back. And like, it seems like the sobriety and making music is like back to the passions and doing the things I love to do again or whatever.
Definitely. Right? One of the things that actually inspired me to do it was I did a show with Jimmy Rhythm and his brother, and we did a Liberators set beforehand, and seeing him do it and knowing like what he went through and where he's at now. Yeah, like his music is crazy dope, man. Like crazy dope. The stuff that he's putting out now is like top notch in
I
my
agree
books.
completely, man. We got to do a track together at the beginning of August, and we haven't dropped it yet, but
Nice.
I'm looking forward to putting that out.
Dope.
I talked to him on Fly in Formation as well, and he's one of the people who's talked about kind of, the journey into sobriety and stuff, and how it helped him
Yeah.
make better music or whatever. But you called him Jimmy Rhythm, I call him Jimmy Burnett, because I wasn't around with him on White Ave when he used to freestyle as Jimmy Rhythm or whatever.
Yeah,
But,
the first time I actually met him was Crown Pub, man.
okay,
Way back in the
beautiful,
day.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, can I ask just kind of like more generally, like when you're writing raps, what's the process look like? Are you somebody who kind of chips away at a verse for days on end in a phone, or you sit down and
I think it really relies on the production. Like if it's something that speaks to me right off the bat, again, like a classy boom bap beat, I can crank out a dope 16 in probably like an hour and then have it recorded in a couple hours, even though sometimes it takes me like months to actually get to that point. But yeah, it depends on the beat. I try and write. I don't like the phone as much. The only drawback is when I'm in my little home studio,
yeah,
I can't have the big pad of paper, and I'm rapping at the same time because there's too much stuff in the way. So I got to transfer it from paper to phone, and then I can hold my little phone up, and then it's fine.
easier to scroll
But
without having the page
yeah,
flip
exactly.
and stuff.
Or like,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it really depends on the beat and I guess the topic. If the producer hits me with the topic that he wants me to be on, then I'm going to take a little bit more time. But if it's just straight bars that they want or something like that, then I just tackle it immediately and just try and do what I can with it. But
Yeah. Nice, man.
yeah, mainly pen and paper.
Do you enjoy recording yourself, or would it be ideal? Like, if money wasn't an issue, would you be in at a studio paying engineers to sit and do it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It's not that I don't enjoy it, but it's very tedious. And when you're recording over somebody's beats, whether they're the mastered beat, plays a part into it, or whether it's an unmastered beat or something like that, it can change throughout the process, right? So there's been times where I've written to a beat and then sent my vocals off, and then they've either mastered it, mastered the beat and mastered the track together, and then had like different dropouts or something like that where the beat cuts out and comes back in,
Right.
where I'm just like, I didn't write my rhymes to those initially, like I kind of pick up on those as like, that was the beat we're supposed to drop there, not there, kind of thing. But when I do it myself, I try and just use the filters that I always use, the compressor that I always use, and just keep it the same. Try and keep the voices straightforward as possible. So
Nice, man. Yeah, that makes sense. Without doing too much work to the mix yourself, and let somebody else handle it off site. Yeah. Dude, are you from a musical family? Like your brother, Press, the producer, is obviously musical. Are your parents people who play instruments? Like
my old man plays guitar.
Okay.
And grew up with him playing like Stones covers and covers of Bob Dylan and Gordon Lightfoot and stuff. But that was pretty much the extent of it. The hip hop thing developed a bit later in life. Like I started listening to hip hop probably around like 13 or 14. Before that, I was listening to like heavy metal music,
Right.
and Press was kind of the same way, but a little bit older than me. Obviously, like the older brother, I'm taking his music, I'm taking his CDs and stuff like that. So when it started, I didn't have any intentions of using it musically, that I kind of just stumbled onto writing and poetry beforehand. And then it's like, this is what hip hop is. This is what rapping is. It's just to a rhythm,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm working on a theory where it's like, I feel like it takes a couple generations to make a successful musician, almost like, because dude, so many people I've been talking to have been like, oh yeah, my uncle fucking played in a band, and so he, showed me how to do this, or like had me come up at his shows and like got me on stage the first time, or just like various different, he was a DJ, or your dad played a guitar. Like it's different than hip hop, but it still counts as like seeing your parents make music in the household, right? Like,
totally, yeah. And when Press started, it was just a keyboard, and he just started messing around with it one day, and then kind of just started showing me like, here's what I've been doing. I'm like, oh damn, like just cuz. And he's like, yeah, it's dope.
Nice, man. Yeah, I love the just cuz hobbies. I think that's if you're not doing it just cuz, like you should probably find some other thing to fill your time with, because Shit, I think I was saying it online, but like people who are looking to make money in music, you're looking in the
Yeah,
wrong spot. Like, go pick up a shovel, you'll make quicker money
seriously.
just
Yeah.
doing whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah. If you focus on this, it can be like worse than minimum wage,
Yeah, definitely worse
you
than
know?
minimum wage. Dude, it's a money pit. I mean, like, I think most artists are probably going to be operating in the deep, deep negatives by the time
Oh, yeah.
they ever find any success at all. You know, like
I
if you,
find that crazy because they, like the emphasis now seems to be on that and not like just on the art form itself. Like you have your
definitely,
grassroots movements and stuff, but when people come out and they're like they drop a song or something like that, there's videos and there's reels and there's, you know, algorithm behind it that makes it chart and all that stuff. So it's like the brand is coming first and the art is coming second, you know?
definitely, yeah,
It's crazy.
definitely. And a lot of people, they seem to put a lot more. Skizza was saying this on Threads yesterday. He was talking about how people who are talking about like the money and the promotion side tend to put a lot of time and effort and money into that side of things, but not so much
Yes.
into the actual art, you know? So
Totally
you
right.
end up with this like cookie cutter formulaic whatever's popping now, or like whatever was popping 10 years ago that they're trying to emulate still, or whatever, right? Like, and
Yeah.
you can really hear it a lot of the time that like, I don't know if your heart's in the actual art of this stuff, you
Totally,
know?
man. And you hear it like crazy at local shows too. When you see
Yo,
these artists and they pop and they get like this online buzz, and then you see them live and you're like, oh, you still got a long way to go, man. Like I get it, but
yeah,
like you're buzzing right now, cool.
for
But
real,
there's still levels to this.
for real, man. Um, Dude, something I ask a lot of different artists that I really like people's answers on this, but do you get more fulfillment from writing the music and recording the music, or from performing the music on stage?
Ooh, I would say performing, as like I find like writing is for me. Like I write for myself
Yeah,
and I write for, like I have pages of stuff that will never see the light of day, but it's just, you know, it's a constant. But when you get up like in front of people and you're doing it right and you're seeing approval or disapproval, there's a there's like a power behind it, it's like intoxicating,
yeah, man.
getting up there and doing it.
Yeah, it's a rush like nothing else that you can really do. I think to jump on
Definitely.
stage and
Yeah.
perform. Yeah. Um, how about this, dude? What does success as an artist look like to you? Like if for you to be able to, when you look back at life, say I was successful. Like what'll that mean?
The I guess the hip hop side of me, the true school hip hop side of me says like, oh, getting, your stuff on wax and having vinyl and cassettes and all this stuff that's like crucial to the culture of hip hop and the history of it. Being able to do that consistently would be a form of success. But if I'm talking about it as like me, the man behind the music kind of
Yeah,
thing, I guess getting to a point where it's I guess like semi self-sustaining. It's not just like a constant um, outpouring of finances and emotion and art and not receiving anything back. You know what I
right.
mean? Because that does happen, and that does happen to a lot of people. Where it's just like a dope artist, but they don't ever get the recognition or like
For
the
real, man.
opportunities that they should.
Yeah.
So I guess building it into something that's sustainable is the right answer. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that, man. The amount of artists that I know who fit the bill, like of that second that you described, where it's like they never get the recognition, they are
Yeah,
dope. There's so many of them, and once I started really like paying attention and like, okay, so who's actually making music in Winnipeg, and like really like I used to with albums where it was like you'd hear a featured MC and go check out their
yeah,
discography or whatever, and on, and
totally.
it branches out. Like I've been doing that, except like really focused on just Canadian hip hop, and the internet makes it super easy to do it, right? You could like
Of course.
find all their social media and fucking their entire catalog as soon as you like see their name once. So it's
Yeah.
super easy to do, but like, yeah, man, the amount of people getting slept on out here is fucking criminal.
It's
Like,
it's wild.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much talent, and I don't know. The record companies aren't like looking for anybody who's not already getting millions of hits or millions of
Exactly.
plays and
Yeah.
stuff. So
And
yeah,
even that, like the more that you kind of like learn about it, those artists that get with those labels, most of the time they don't really get a lot anyway. They kind of get screwed out of it.
yeah, sign
So it's
some
like,
lame
you know,
360 deal or whatever, and
totally,
yeah,
man. Yeah.
give all their likeness away, especially with AI now, man. We started talking before our cameras were even running about AI or whatever, but like, dude, that's the scary part is a lot of those deals are signing away like their likeness for AI purposes too. So yeah, they can then make them say and do whatever they want from that point. Like,
totally.
Wild.
Yeah. I'm surprised that we don't already have like entirely AI artists that are just like,
I think there's like one or two of them who are like still novelty acts that I have heard about.
Oh, whatever. Really?
But yeah, I'm surprised that there hasn't been like a big one that's blown up or whatever,
you just give it, you feed it all of hip hop, for 50 years and just let it make its own music.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
I mean, I'm not worried personally. I don't think a computer is going to be able to come up with like actual artistic things to say, or like,
it'll be like copy
fancy ways to say shit.
Yeah,
it'll be able to like write something that'll be popular, maybe, but it won't be something that's like artistically, like critically good, I don't think.
Yeah, like you're not going to get like a conscious rapper out of it.
Yeah, it might be able to start cranking out beats, but I don't know. There's something about like the actual like human expression of getting on stage and saying a bunch of words that like, I don't know what it has to express. It'll be interesting to see, but I doubt its ability so far from what I'm seeing. And I fuck around and use a lot of AI. Like if I'm writing something for the website or whatever, like I run it through AI and have it, tell me if I'm being redundant or like cut out fucking sentences or whatever. Like I don't have it just completely write it. Of course I couldn't.
It's like a free editor.
Yeah, but it's a good editor. And yeah, definitely. I can be a little bit too wordy a lot of the time. I've known in my writing over the years. So like, this helps me. It just chops that shit down. But so far, it still fucks up quite a bit. And I still have to be like, no, don't change and try to like make me use slang I don't want to fucking use just because, I'm talking about hip hop or whatever. Like, and it still tries some of that shit. And I think that would be pretty obvious in songwriting still. But yeah. I'm sure. I mean, I've heard people using that it is a thing that you can do, have it help you with lyrics or whatever. But yeah. Can I ask you what you're listening to lately, dude? What's on?
Honestly, man, a lot of the classics, like obviously, for like new artists. I
mean, not necessarily for new artists. I just wanted to know, like, what do you listen to on a day-to-day basis more so? Like, if you're not actually listening to new stuff.
A lot of MF Doom, MF Grimm, Elzai. These dudes from the UK, the Cult of the Damned.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. It's like a nine group collective of UK MCs, and they're all just like nasty.
Nice.
It's crazy. And like really,
they're still out like, doing their thing right now.
And they've all got like solo projects and all that stuff.
Nice.
And it's kind of like that Griselda-y slow tempo, the Derringer beats that kind of just ride, and it's dope.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
How about for new stuff, I guess, then, if we swap over to that?
Yeah. The guy I go to, man, Homeboy Sandman. He's
Very
obviously
dope.
not even new, but like been around for a while.
Underground enough that a lot of people won't know
it'll be new. It'll be new for a lot of people. And Your Old Droog.
Yeah.
Your Old Droog is crazy nice with it.
Yeah. He was the dude that when he first came out, people were like, this is Nas just slowed down slightly or whatever.
Yeah. And I was one of those people that was like, this is totally Nas.
Dude, I thought it might have been.
Slick here.
Yeah, I thought it might have been.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like Action Bronson had that kind of thing for a while too, where everyone was comparing him to Ghostface. And even like their style and delivery is kind of the same. But Your Old Droog's bars are like.
Yeah, he's established himself. I listen to his new stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about this question, man? You kind of touched on it, how like a lot of artists promote, and there's supposed to be the reels and all this to promote even just a song. If you're going to drop a song, you're supposed to have the video. You're supposed to have whatever it is, 30 pieces of content. I think I've seen somebody try to tell you to do online or whatever. Like, can you even fucking imagine 30 different posts about the same song? Like, I feel like
I have a hard time keeping up with Instagram.
Wouldn't I lose followers? I feel like if I did that shit, like people would just be like, no, we have had enough of you, Doobyis. Get the fuck out of here. Like
just spamming.
Yeah, right. 30 for one song. But so how do you approach promotion at this point? Like with a new album?
On it, like I didn't honestly do a whole lot when we completed the project and sent it off. We had to wait for obviously like the test presses and all that stuff to come through and make sure that those were good after the mix and mastering and stuff, and then kind of figuring out how the deal would work, like the cuts that we would get with physical copies and all that stuff. And then when it came to promotion, it was only like a couple weeks left. So we had a video that we had kind of waiting for this that we shot in the winter. D and we shot it with like an old school digital camera just to like try and capture like the grit of the record itself.
Yeah.
And we sat on that for a while, so we wanted to use that for promo, and just kind of like hinting at it. And then when it all started happening, it was just like reposts and trying to stay ahead of, I don't know, the algorithm, I guess. But it's tough, man. It's tough trying to navigate that stuff when you don't have it as like a full-time gig or something, you know.
So when you shoot a video on an old like camcorder or whatever you used to shoot it on, did you end up digitizing the footage afterwards so it can be edited, or like how the fuck does that even work, bro? I wasn't around making music videos back then, so like people splicing tapes and shit.
No, like it wasn't like a tape camcorder. It was like a 2002, like one of the first digitals, okay, like those little ones, you know?
Yeah.
And so we filmed it on that, and D took it back to his place afterwards and then just kind of chopped it all up and then added some of that classic documentary footage that's throughout it. Yeah. And nice, called it a day.
Yeah. Just popped into my head. I was like, dude, I don't even know how that fucking works on an actual like old film camera. How do you edit that shit? But yeah,
I have no idea.
Okay. How about, so leading off of the promotional talk, do you ever think about a target audience? Who are you rapping for at this point?
I guess myself in a way. It's with our last release, like speaking for the Liberators, our Inherent Circle album.
Yeah.
It was very different, and it was very it was like a completely different planet of music that we were making. You know, we were making audio soundscapes where I was mixing video game noise and old sci-fi audiobooks and making like these city soundscapes, and then just doing acapellas over them, you know, to try and like build a almost like a scenery instead of like having like an actual rap song, you know, or a hip hop track. And a lot of people weren't feeling it. You know, we had crazy filters on our voices and, you know, trying different things with beats and just different rhyme styles and stuff like that. And it was really fun making, and it was really rewarding for us as artists. Obviously, like we wish that it got more pull and got more play, but for us as artists, I look back at it as like, dude, that's classic, you know? Yeah. So it put this thing in my head of like, if I just constantly make stuff that's for me, the people that think I'm dope are going to think it's dope.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I'm trying to, I guess, shoot for. And then when I'm out at ciphers or shows or whatever, I try and keep a bank of verses, like just that I can just go to, you know, because that's when you're amongst your peers and you're amongst the heads and the, you know, in the case of like something like Cypher Wild, you don't know who could be there. It could be Kaz, or it could be Touch shows up, or like these heads, you know, and you want to be able to represent. So your direction kind of changes, and you're like, oh shit, all these dudes are here, I got to put on now. And then you drop your hard verse and everyone goes crazy, and you're like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen you legitimately freestyle. You're not always kicking writtens when I've seen you in ciphers, were you?
Yeah, no. I freestyle. It's been a while since I've actually done it, just because I haven't been going out to shows and stuff.
Right.
But
when you say that, do you mean since you've actually performed like freestyle, like out in public, or like?
Yeah. Like I still freestyle around my apartment all the time.
I was gonna say, yeah. I feel like
my favorite thing to do is
got to freestyle to themselves walking around.
Yeah, or like to just stay in the mode of rhyming, because it's so easy to get like not even writer's block, but you can like fall out of rhythm with your writing, you know, like where you can't get something dope out, or like whatever you're putting out is just like generic and you don't like it. So you have to stay in that mode. And to do that, like playing video games or something, I'll be like trying to, even if it's not even like a legitimate freestyle where it's, you know, to a rhythm or something like that, or to a beat, I'll just be talking it out as I'm doing it, what I'm doing in the game or something like that, and then just making it rhyme as I'm thinking aloud, you know.
That's funny, dude. I was on stream earlier this afternoon, like I just play video games to beats or whatever, beat playlist, and I'll just break into random freestyles that will be like 4 bars and then fall right the fuck off or whatever. But yeah, when you're playing video games, it feels like less pressure.
Totally, yeah.
Dude, so you never have really been like somebody who drops singles. You always drop albums. In the current genre and like current era, is it
not
tough not dropping singles? Yeah.
I don't know. And everybody I talk to is like, dude, like we're done with projects. Like you don't even albums aren't even really a thing anymore. You just kind of shoot to have your single hit a top playlist on Spotify or something like that and let it do the work for you. But I don't know, the way I've always worked is, whether it's a concept or not, trying to make something that's like complete. And a lot of the times when I'm writing, like the song can be finished, but the way it leads into like the next thing is like important to me, and it's important to press too when we do Liberator stuff.
Yeah.
So
the sequencing song to song has to work.
Yeah, because and it's like, when you get a poor mixtape or something like that, and it just doesn't flow, and it just sounds like 10 songs, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. But like having something that's like cohesive all the way through is really important.
Nice, man. Yeah. So probably you won't ever end up just dropping singles.
I don't know, man. If I want to stay, I guess if I want to chase that relevancy, I gotta, keep up with the kids these days and
I mean,
do what they're doing.
Beyond just chasing relevancy, I feel like there is something to be said for like, the songs that otherwise just end up being like lost in a vault somewhere collecting dust. Sometimes, right?
No,
like sometimes there's a song and it doesn't really fit with the project, but you heard some beat by some producer or whatever. Yeah, now we can just chuck them to the internet for like $15 and it's there on the streaming platforms forever, So.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I think my DistroKid expired. I got to put that back up. I don't even know if there's Liberator stuff on there right now.
I actually just learned today, reading on Threads, somebody was talking about how they just quit DistroKid, and I'd seen artists talking about how they hated DistroKid because it was about like botted playlists. Have you heard about this shit where people their songs get added to botted playlists on Spotify? Spotify flags it as being like, oh, you're having fake plays, and then takes that down. And apparently DistroKid, just their customer service is shit, apparently, from what I've been seeing artists saying for the past, like, I want to say 6 months or so, that like, once that happens to you, you're just fucked. There's no recourse if you're through DistroKid. Whereas I think with some of the other distributors, there is.
Damn.
But today,
look into that.
So I'm going to just shit all over DistroKid because they're not paying any money. So why not? But today I heard somebody talking about how DistroKid, if you don't pay for their, like, I don't know, retro pass or some fucking thing, then when you stop paying them monthly, it takes all your music down. And I was like, what? That's fucking whack. Like,
that is
you gotta pay monthly or they take your music down. I didn't know that.
That's wild. Yeah, like I always thought, like, I'm so separated from that. Like I just like got the year thing and then just had it renew, but then eventually, it just stopped renewing. But like I didn't even look further into it other than just like, oh, this puts it all up. This puts it where it's got to go on Spotify. It's got to go on YouTube. Here, take it. And then just like it did it for me. So I was like, all right, I'm done with that.
Yeah, I heard that like if you have a credit card, change over numbers, get a new credit card or whatever, like, and it's not going to renew on the same one, that they send you an email being like, your music is at risk of being taken down. And like,
damn,
I don't know about that, man. Yeah. So you reminded me of it, but yeah. Pay for CD Baby. That's where I put my shit online through.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm the only one who I've ever really heard say that. Everybody else is through DistroKid, so I don't know. Maybe I'm out to lunch on that one. But as far as I know, it's like $15 a song, and that shit's up there forever off of CD Baby. So I think it's like a little bit more, but yeah. They're not going to take it down on you if you don't fucking pay them the next month, I guess.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. So, okay, let's go with. What time is it? We got 20 minutes left. Okay. So how about I do this section where it's like, how important is this or that?
Okay.
And I got quite a few of them here that I wanted to ask you. So feel free to be long-winded if you want to, but also you can just be like brief and let me know what you think. But how important is having a good stage show for a hip hop artist?
I think it's very important. There's so many times where an MC will get up on stage, and kind of going back to like those dudes that focus more on the marketing and stuff like that. When you see them at shows, they kind of, there's no movement, or there's no like eye contact, or they're looking down, or they're not paying attention. Yeah, not paying attention to the crowd. Oh, my cat just jumped up on me.
Oh, the Twitch stream just got twice as popular.
Yeah.
Everybody loves cats. Yeah.
So seeing them do that, when I first started, it was, I was doing poetry shows at Rouge Lounge, the Breath and Poetry stuff. And I think it was Arlo that was there one night, and he was hosting, and I was doing the artist showcase at the end of it. And he came up to me after and was like, it was great, very dope. You need to look at the audience. And I was like, oh shit, like that's some like legit. And that was like one of my first like performances ever, right? So I always kind of took that to heart coming from somebody like him, whereas like, okay, this is a dude that, you know, has been around and has done it, and this is what his one critique of me. I gotta do that. So
I got told that by some random performer, by some random band dude who I met at a festival when I was like early into emceeing, and you know, one of my buddies probably put me up to rap or whatever, and I kicked some bars, and afterwards buddy's like, okay, but you got to look people in the eyes when you're fucking rapping through them. And I was like,
yeah, man,
you're probably right about that. Sorry, I'm just nervous.
You can tell when you're in the audience looking up at the artist and they're looking at their feet, you know, you're like, oh, like either he's not in it or like he just is like timid or something. Yeah. And that, I guess, having a stage show is just as important as knowing your bars. Like, you know, having to go up there and spit your song, you better not screw it up. You know, you can't make a mistake. So like practice is very important when it comes to a show.
For real.
Having the ability to go up there and make adjustments like live to your verse if you are screwing up is also important. Like if you know that you're, you know, if you might have messed up or you started the second verse for the third verse or something, or the third verse for the second verse or something, it's like, okay, I got to carry that now. I got to own that. I can't just stop and then redo the song, you know?
Now I got to do the second verse, third or whatever. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're doing this in your head as it's happening, right? Like the audience has no idea, but
in there, man. Yeah.
Totally, man.
How about music videos? Do you think music videos are important? Here, let me rephrase that. How important are making music videos? How important is making music videos? That's the word
I think it's super important.
Yeah.
For me personally, I think I have like 2 music videos, maybe 3. I think I have 3 now. I have this one that just came out. I got the one with you, and I got the one with Kaz.
Did we do a music video for that? No.
The raindrops.
Did we fucking make a video for that? Dog, I don't know.
Raindrops?
Oh no,
what?
Shit.
Yeah,
dude, I smoked too much fucking weed. I do remember that now. We did that with boys from Clinks in the basement of that fucking place with the rain machine that I made.
Or whatever. Dude, yeah, and it was pouring rain on us in this middle of this warehouse.
Dog, I haven't seen that video for a long
It's got to be still up, man.
I don't know. It might
still
be.
Up.
It might be, yeah.
But yeah, like those are like my three videos, you know, and that other one with Kaz that we did with like those kids from Flavor.
Right. Like
back in the day.
I want to call it Above the Clouds, but it wasn't. It was just on the same vibe.
Head in the Clouds.
Yeah.
And then there was like AJ Loudon doing the mural in the background of that lady. And yeah, it was just like no direction or concept to the video, but just like a hip hop video, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you're trying to be that successful artist, it is important. You know, it's not just about the music anymore, or just about the bars anymore. It's this fully encompassing thing of like being that brand, you know, being that thing. You're not just I'm not just an MC.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and they say it's important for people to see our faces, right? That people won't connect with the music if they can't attach it to a face or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's why music videos are important. But at this point, I don't know, a lot of guys have been kind of kicking around the idea that like maybe the era of the full length music video is done and over with, and that now you just need like a music video for a verse rather than for a song or whatever.
Yeah. Right? And that way it's, you know, people have poor attention spans as it is, man. Like trying to show someone a 4-minute video and they're pulling their phone out after the first verse.
Yeah.
But if you have 3 1-minute reels or something like that, then
and that's probably long enough that somebody gets to see it as they're scrolling. They associate your name and face with the music. And then like if they hear it again, they'll still remember who that guy is, maybe.
Exactly. And it's lengthy enough afterwards too to keep that longevity. Like if they like the first 10 seconds, there's still 50 seconds behind that to, you know, to lure them in even more.
Yeah. How about how important is getting grants?
I have never messed with grants. I hear it's super important. I know that there's artists that like live off grants, and I think that's cool. It's never really been for me. I've always found that like when that discussion comes around, it's a lot of like lawyer talk. What do they call it? Like legalese, you know, where it's like you have to kind of know the lingo and how to write it and how to like there's a certain format of how to like build it, you know, to ensure that you actually get it. And that's just been like
it's daunting, man. I keep looking at the applications. I've like slowly I'm chipping away and making the different fucking accounts you have to make and stuff. But it's like, dude, they're like asking me for my SIN number and shit. And I'm just like, really? Like, fuck, I guess.
Right.
It seems like a lot of hoops to jump through. But
totally.
Yeah, I mean, it would
But I mean,
also be
if you're
nice to
looking
get
to
those
tour or
grants,
like
right? Like,
exactly, if you're looking to take a tour around Canada or something like that, or develop your like legit project or something, then that's probably the way to do it. You can pay for all your studio time and mastering and probably even distro. So
real. So there's a few of these that I kind of feel like I know the answer to before I even ask them. But how important is it that an artist writes their own bars?
uh as an MC, that's like the number one rule, right? You don't have somebody ghostwrite for you. I've thought
I
of
just
even
like people saying it. I want to put that on the
of,
platform and
of
elevate
course,
that message to all the people.
yes, you have to write your own music, 100%. And it also, I think about it because like the famous ghostwriters that people know that are the ghostwriters, like there's a few, I won't say them, but there's people that
Rhyme
write for
Fest.
famous artists. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Consequence.
But
Yeah.
they're very dope artists. They're super dope.
Yeah.
But if you like, is it the same type of whackness if you're writing for somebody else, or do you still retain some of that dopeness? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like if you're the ghostwriter or you're the ghost writee, like, or if you're reciting the ghost written rhymes, that's whack. But if
Yeah.
you're the ghost writer, it's like, I
Do you
think you're
get
still
credit
dope.
for those big hits? Yeah. Well, and especially
Yeah,
the
I
two
think you
guys I
should.
just named, I would say are definitely dope artists, right? Consequence and
Yes,
Rhyme
yeah.
Fest or shit, Sci-Hi. There's a lot of guys who
Yeah,
have
I was
penned
gonna
a
say
lot of
Sci-Hi.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
and
guys.
you hear those dudes when you hear them spit their bars, you're like, oh shit! Like there's MCs out there, and then there's like MCs that are out there, and they're on a whole other level. Like a lot of those battle dudes, even like the SmackDown dudes, are like, crazy with their bars and actually know. Like for me, I don't know a ton about like grammatically correct things, so like sometimes I'll write a bar and then I'll be like, wait a minute, that actually doesn't make sense. But like, or like the idea of like double and triple entendres within bars,
Right.
that kind of just like happens by accident for me. Like I don't ever intend to do it, but there's dudes out there that like focus their craft on that art form, and it's crazy.
Yeah, the battle rap really puts so much emphasis on the lyrics that I think a lot of guys come out of the battle rap scene, and so my opinion's changed. It used to be that a lot of battle rappers have a tough time writing songs, just period. That was the end of the thought. But at this point, I think it just takes them a while to step away from the battle rap scene and like get a grasp on. But I think it gives them a hell of a foundation to start with because they come at it from that super technical analysis side of being able to battle rap like that, right?
Yeah, and I used to kind of hate on the battle rap, like especially like I love watching old Scribble Jam videos from the early 2000s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Like seeing Idea go up and freestyle for a minute straight, just like demolishing somebody is crazy. But you see the new school battle rap, like the King of the Dots and stuff, and it's a cappella.
It's a different game, and it's written.
Yeah,
right? Those
and it's written, and it's what's crazy is that it's like a show. Like you go up there and you can't just like say your bars directly to the person. You have to like emphasize and act
turn
and do
to
all
the
this
crowd and be like, right,
yeah,
and like
it's like that showmanship, man. It's crazy when people can do it well. And one of my favorites that I watch a lot of right now is Oh Solo, this dude from Jersey, and he's an old head, but he kind of speaks like it's nursery rhymes, but they're just like super silly and hilarious. That like his delivery is what makes it like legendary. It's a gift. It's wild.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of beauty that can be put into simplicity. Even even if the bars are a little bit more simple, you can still get the message across or whatever. But
exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, battle rap is it's a weird scene or whatever. I was definitely in the hater boat with you there about battle rap to begin with. But at this point, like I've met a lot of guys who came from that scene, and definitely I guess I've always been able to respect it. I just kind of looked at it like, okay, what they're doing is like a different thing than what
it's MCing,
we're doing.
But it's a different format.
Yeah. It's tough to call it the same thing, and we all want to call ourselves, oh, I'm an MC or whatever. Like it's all rap.
And the thing that I was always doing is like, oh man, it's so easy. There's no beat or anything. And then it's like, well, then do it. It's like,
maybe not.
I don't want to do
it. yeah. People are really going to pay attention to what you say when you're up there.
Exactly. So, yeah. Or even just like the structure of their rhymes. One bar will be like almost like 3 sentences.
Dude,
and it's where it's really elongated and stretched out. Where I sit down and try and write something like that, and my I guess my bar writing ability, it as I'm writing it on the paper, it just stops at the margin because that's where the bar stops.
Right.
It doesn't continue. So being able to sit down and just write like that and then have it make sense is like, I just feel like I'm rambling.
Yeah, damn. How about this, dude? This is interesting because you've been working, with press a lot throughout your career, but how important is working with local producers? We kind of touched on it talking about, people around the world are dope too, but
Yeah. I think having a producer that you can link with like physically is really important. Just dealing with beats being sent, online, you're just receiving emails back and forth. You're missing a lot of like that substance or like that co-creation, I guess,
yeah,
because if you're with them while they're making this beat, you have your own input and you can tell them, what you're feeling, or like sometimes a producer might go one way and you might go the other, but if you're in the same room together, then you can like structure it how you think it will actually sound as like a finished product, and then you have both inputs, I guess, if
yeah,
that makes
man.
sense.
Yeah, definitely makes sense to me. I know exactly what you're talking about. And when I think the relationship that you can build and have kind of a give and take with a producer who's actually in your city is going to be a lot more beneficial to the outcome and to making good art, because
Yeah, 100%.
otherwise, you might feel like, oh well, I already gave this guy's money for the beat, I don't want to bug him to change it, or I don't want to,
Yeah,
it's less of a like actual artistic relationship and much more business sided. So yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And you get the privilege of like, if you're working in the same group, like me and Press, like when we first started, it was like an endless supply of free material, like he
Right.
would just be like shipping me beats every day. Here's 5, here's 10. I'm like, okay, so I have all this stuff to work with. Whereas like if you're just piecing it off one by one from different producers online or buying like SoundCloud beats, you're coughing up money just to get something that you might not even really use. Like
Well, the relationship
I
you
can't
just mentioned probably pushed both of you forward, because he's sending you beats, so you always have something to write to, and it's propelling you,
yeah.
because there's always, oh okay, well I got to write to this new one, and then vice versa too. I feel like there's probably producers out there who don't know MCs, so they end up, in fact I've talked to
Mhm.
producers like this, so they end up making beats and then they're like, well nobody wants to fucking buy my beats,
Yeah.
so then they like stop making beats or whatever, and it doesn't continue going anywhere, right? But if you
Right.
have an in-house MC,
Of
that
course.
that
Yeah.
propels both people forward. Yeah. um how about, how important is it to open for big name rappers when they come through town?
I've done my fair share of opening. I think it is important. I think it's less important knowing who the artist is, if that makes sense. Like, um, what am I trying to say? Like, it's more for the audience that's already there. When you're the opener for a big name, if you're on first, it's going to be like an empty room. But if you're on pre-headliner, if you're the guy before, you're going to get a full house and you're going to be able to showcase what you have. Because I've done so many shows where we've been first and we've been the guy before,
Right.
and the artist that we're opening for isn't even in the building yet. So there's this idea that like, oh, I get to open for so and so,
Yeah.
but like,
And maybe I can impress him, but like he
totally, it's
doesn't
like he's
fucking
not even
care.
there.
No.
One of the craziest shows that we did for Liberators was with Jay Dilla's homie, Frank Nitt.
Oh
We
yeah.
did it in like a little pizza shop, and the one thing that shocked me was dude was there from the start into the end, man. Like, saw all the openers and then just walked up on stage and did his set. It was really cool to see, because
Nice.
every other show that I've done where it's like that, they haven't shown up until it's like their time to walk on stage and grab the mic, or jump behind the tables or something like
Which is
that.
funny, because like honestly, what the fuck else are you doing in Edmonton if you're from,
Yeah, exactly. Where are you going?
if you're from Detroit? You probably don't know people in Edmonton to go hang out with or whatever. Like,
Yeah, like,
you're
and
just
West
sitting
Edmonton
there
Mall's not
alone
that
in
hype
your
anyway.
fucking van or whatever.
Totally, man.
Yeah. How about, how important is an artist's physical location? Does it matter where somebody's from at this point?
I don't think at this point, no. You can be from anywhere, I think. And I think that it's almost like a benefit for a lot of artists, because there could be some people out in like the sticks, out in the middle of nowhere, that could be incredible artists, but there is literally nowhere to perform, or
Yeah.
there's nowhere to actually get out and do it. So if you have a setup at your house, you can actually create and get exposure from it.
Real, man. there's definitely some dope motherfuckers out here in Lethbridge, and you know, I wasn't expecting it when I moved down here or whatever, but yeah, I think if you look in the right spots, you find dope motherfuckers anywhere you go.
Yeah, and hip hop is everywhere.
Yeah,
It's in every town, every city, every little village.
for real.
It's everywhere.
Such a huge global influence, man. Um, this one's funny. People have laughed at me when I asked them this, but how important is staying physically fit for an artist?
Uh, I mean, if that's what you're going for, like if that's part of your thing, then yeah, all power to you. But like I think of artists like MF Doom or like Chub Rock or Biggie,
Yeah.
you know, like
It's been plenty of big MCs. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, totally. And there's been, you know, super tall MCs and there's been little tiny MCs. So I don't think it's as important as people would like to make it out to be. But like there's obviously the train of thought where it's like, you know, happy, what is it, like healthy body healthy mind or something like that, or healthy mind healthy body kind of thing. So yeah,
and maybe it builds discipline or whatever, being out doing stuff like that. I've had people tell me that, but yeah,
you look at like Method Man now or like Redman now, those dudes are cut, man. It's crazy,
right? Yeah, exactly. There's Styles P out there doing chin-ups, or Jada doing chin-ups on the bars and stuff like that.
There's got to be something to it.
Yeah. How important is finding or having the right romantic partner in life for an artist?
I think it's very important. You know, you can have a relationship, but being like someone like me, I'm very introverted, and I'm very introverted when it comes to my art. Like I struggle when it comes time to like publicly write, or like if I'm in a room full of MCs and I got to write something, it's more tricky. I would rather like take the beat and go off and, you know, you have headphones and be on my own and then come up with something.
Right.
And when you're in a relationship, that can be taxing and can be time consuming. And, you know, whether you're, I guess like whether you're using that time anyway, whether you're doing it the way you always did, that's going to affect your relationship, because, you know, the person's not going to feel like you're fully involved, or your art takes the back seat. Do you know what I mean? So it's you have to find that healthy balance with a partner, I guess. So it is important, but it's important in all parts of your life too. It's not just the music, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. I think well, there's cliches about it or whatever. Behind every good man there's a good woman, or whatever the fuck that saying is, and those kind of things. Like, yeah, I think a lot of that goes a long way, is just having somebody in your corner at all.
Of course.
Yeah, and a little bit of acceptance or whatever goes a long ways. But yeah, dude. How about having a manager? You think that's important?
I've thought about it, honestly. Really, it just comes down to funds. Being able to like build a team that everybody is eating from, you know, eating from the same plate is tricky. So I think if you can find the right group of people and the right person that can spearhead your mission and your goal, like that would be fantastic. I don't think it's 100% necessary. Maybe once you get to a certain point, like the level I'm at, no, I wouldn't even really take it seriously. But if I was elevating and growing and, you know, getting to the point where my shows are becoming across the country, or like in the States or in Europe or something like that, then maybe you have to get someone on board that can, I don't know, hold the reins a little bit.
Yeah. Help book shit and figure out where you're going to stay and whatever else.
And just deal with riders and deal with promoters. Cause you know, like dealing with promoters can be like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. They're notoriously, slimy. not easy to deal with.
Yeah. We didn't get enough at the door, man. I'm sorry.
So yeah, we can only afford to pay this. I know we said this, but yeah.
Here's some drink tickets though. You'll be all right.
Right. I guess it's better than nothing, but yeah. Dude, I was just thinking about how, like, I feel like in Canada, since our music industry is what it is, and it's to actually live off of music in Canada, I feel like you have to be getting grants, right? Like, or like world touring or something. Like, I don't know, you'd have to live on tour, I guess, but you couldn't just tour Canada and have enough stops to maintain yourself, I don't think. So I've been thinking that like maybe the Canadian indie equivalent of having a manager is like those people that write grants for people and then take X amount of money for themselves or whatever, you know. That probably goes a long way, having those people in your corner.
Definitely. Yeah. And it seems like all the artists that I know that are doing it big and doing it well, they have this team around them. It's not just them, you know, they either have like a band or they've got videographers and photographers and all this, like their whole camp is built, you know what I mean? So everybody has their role and they all follow it and then they all succeed together kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think I've always been jealous of people in bands because it's like, you know, it's easier for them to sell 200 tickets because there's 6 of them in the band. So
right,
each of them only has to sell whatever that comes down to, 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're running around trying to be a solo act, that's a bit more of an uphill climb. I got a couple.
When it comes to selling tickets, man. Oh,
yeah, dude, I never enjoyed
I was
trying
terrible
to sell
at
tickets
it,
to
man.
anybody. Yeah, not fun at all. Who was it? Mitchell Lawler and I were joking about like who do you sell tickets to? The guys you work with? Like,
yeah,
you know,
right.
hey, we just hung out all week. This I'm quoting Mitchell Lawler on this one, but he's like, hey, we just hung out at work all week. Do you want to come out on Friday night and fucking watch the show or what?
Yeah, or like you get those messages on Facebook or something where it's just like a long list of people that have all gotten the exact same message, like, hey, I got a show. If you need tickets, hit me up.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Close.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I send out @sick links to homies, and I make sure that I type out something different for each fucking person, even if it's just like
that's
yo, it's a new show,
right?
check it out. Like,
yeah,
I'm just trying to push new hip hop into people's ears. I really don't get anything for this even, but like, here you go. I hope someone will listen. Dude, how about this question? You got a few more on the time limit here? Okay, so how important is the mix or master for music you're working on?
I think nowadays it's like crucial. Like it's what you should go for, is having something that's like at least semi-professionally done.
Yeah.
When I first started, I didn't care anything about that or know anything about it. So I was just using like a dynamic mic that you would have at a show, and then had some, you know, foam around it, and then would just wrap and then put that out and then just try and clean it up as best as I could. And having the ability even just to have your own like interface with a matching mic or something like that, and a legit program can step your game up like crazy. And take you to another level. But having a pro do it, like recording at someone like NATO's or something, it's wild. It's a whole different ball game. It feels like you're doing something completely different. You're in a different world of music.
You're talking to a mic worth as much as a car.
Like, totally, man. And he's like, and he's like, I'm going to switch this one out and put this one in. Like, you have multiple mics? I've been using the same one for years.
It's sound engineering is totally one of those things where it's like, the more you know about it and think about it, the more you critique yourself. And like, I don't know if there's ever an end to it, you know, like it's like if you hanging out with somebody who welds and he like looks up at some fucking welding on some building you're in or whatever, like he's gonna see imperfections that like regular people just like walk past and don't even fucking notice, right? But like, the more professional you are at any craft, the more you're gonna nitpick it and notice. So like, I think a lot of artists probably get into it, like you said, where you're rapping into an SM58 or whatever to start with, and like sounds all right to me, you know, like, you know,
and you're just putting it out there at that point, right? You just want to be heard.
Yeah, totally. How about pressing vinyl? Is the new album the first time you've been on vinyl?
No, like thankfully with that Shogun link, this particular one, the Boombap Guardians, is like the first one that I've kind of like showcased on, or been like, you know, half kind of the MCs that are on it.
Whatever,
But normally, you know, working with like Propo and the dudes from the Shoguns, Truffle, getting on their stuff has put me on wax maybe 4 or 5 times, which is cool. Like a verse here and there or a track here and there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think, like personally, I love the idea of having a physical piece of vinyl with you on it, like with a verse on it, you know. I'm not so much as focused on like digital stuff or like the digital selling of something. So personally, I do think it is important, especially if you're trying to stay what you consider true to the school of hip hop, you know. If that's what you think is the way to do it, then you should do it. But there's a lot of artists out there nowadays that they don't even care, you know.
Well, and it's just out of the price range for a lot of people too, man. Like,
it's crazy. And thankfully, like in Europe, it's so much cheaper. And that was the only way we would have been able to do it, is because the labels out there, you know, it's much cheaper. But I was even pricing out some places. There's one in Edmonton, a new place that opened up, but it's super expensive even just to get like 100 made. And then you have to sell it at a price where trying to just recoup your money isn't even worth it. You can't sell a record from a local artist for like $50.
Dude, I think it was like, I don't know, 3,200 or 3,700, some shit like that for 100 copies the last time I looked at pressing vinyl. And like,
Yeah, man.
yeah, then you turn around, you got to be selling them for $37 to even break even, like to be
Exactly.
even at
Yeah.
the end of it. Holy fuck.
It's
So,
crazy. And thankfully with those Shoguns dudes, like they have a huge audience in Europe and even in like South America and Colombia, and like those dudes are touring all over the place. But their love of like when you listen to the Shoguns, it's just like 1993. Like they live their lives that way, and that's how they make their music too. So it's only right that they're putting it out on vinyl and cassette. Like they obviously do digital and stuff as well, but like their goal is to have that physical thing.
yeah. Do you get a lot of love from like listeners in Europe? Because I always feel the same, that like kind of just boom bap is more alive in Europe, you know?
Yes, boom bap is crazy in Europe, and even in like places like Russia. Like Russia has a crazy boom bap scene, which is nuts. Like Onyx is just like killing it out there. They
Yeah.
stay in Eastern Europe just because that's where their market is now. But it's wild, right?
I didn't know that. Yeah. That's a real
like
curveball. Onyx moves to Russia.
Yeah, they put out a record called 1993, which is like just, I think it might even be a Ukrainian producer. A dude just made like straight up 90s style beats just for them.
Okay.
And they put out an album together, and it's crazy. But yeah, their love of like that traditional, like what we like consider the golden age, like they love that so much that that's what they chase, But there's like, even, I've heard tracks from Gilly, the dude on Boom Bap Guardians, that are more new school, that like, so there's a wave to it, they can jump on whatever, but their preference is like this gritty 90s sound.
Dude, you guys nailed it on that new project. You nailed that gritty 90s sound to a T, so I enjoyed listening to it. I think other people should definitely check it out. I got two more of these questions. Another one, I think I know the answer to this one, but I just like hearing people say it. How important is listening to the legends of hip hop?
Oh, you have to. If you the older I get, the earlier hip hop I listen to and appreciate. When I first started listening to hip hop, it was like the Wu-Tang, it was the 90s stuff, Wu-Tang, Onyx, Boot Camp Click, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as I got older, you start realizing that they were influenced by people too.
Yeah.
And you listen to the dudes from the 80s or like Schoolie D or something like that. And yeah, Public Enemy, and you hear that, and yeah, man. And it's the older I get, the more I appreciate it. When I first listened to it, it's kind of like what the kids say now, where it's like, oh, they're just saying whatever. It kind of just sounds like nonsense to them. But I don't know, as you mature, you can kind of appreciate it a little bit more.
For real. Yeah. I mean, I think you got to go back and listen with a certain appreciation, right? You've got to be looking to find the roots of the culture, to go back and like listen to Criminal Minded and walk away appreciating it, right? I mean, even when I first heard that album, it was like, yo, this is so dope that this motherfucker came out from, the streets of New York and just like dropped this after being homeless a month before or whatever. Like,
dude, and a lot of those albums, they were making the genre as they were making the album, like they were testing things and building something that had never been done before. So like when you hear some of the beats, like, there might not be any swing to the drums or something like that, or like the fill might not be as clean as somebody can do on an MPC or, on Fruity Loops or something now, but you hear them doing it back in the day and you're like, oh, like this was like the test ground. Like this is where they came up with the formula.
Making it up as they went, man. Like
exactly. And then just going with whatever sounded dope. Like the thing in the 80s is you would hear the MCs and then they would have their punchline and then it would echo like crazy, but you could tell the echo was like structured in there, so it sounds almost out of place, but you can hear what they're trying to do. But now you hear artists play with like faders and echoes all the time and it just sounds so smooth.
Yeah.
But that's where it came from.
For real. That was the foundation, the building blocks that all this stuff stands on. I agree. It's important that people should at least check it out, go back and see what the fuck those guys were doing.
Yeah.
Last one of these how important questions, man. How important is the ability to freestyle?
I think for me, it's another thing that I take very seriously. It's a skill that I like to be able to pull out at any time. It's like pulling the rabbit out of the hat, you know. If you know, that's how you can win over a crowd. That's how you can have a track on a song that you know that a part is freestyled, but other people don't, but it sounds like it's written. You know what I mean? I think every MC should do it, whether you're bad at it or not.
Yeah.
Because there's only one way to get good at it, right? If you practice something, you're only going to get better. You're not going to get worse. So an MC that gets up on the mic and, you know, they'll freestyle for 4 bars, but then you can tell it drifts into like a written or something like that.
Right.
Like, that's cool. But being able to stretch it out, and like, I look at a dude like Kaz that can freestyle for an hour straight with no breaks, no like redundancy in rhymes, you know, like they don't.
Some guys you hear going back to the same lines or whatever.
And I'm guilty of that too. I'm guilty of that too. When I lose track of what I'm doing, it's back to that like safety line, you know, where I know I have a bank of rhymes that can fill with that. But Kaz is a dude that he could rap for days. So I look at that and it's like, it's impressive, and it's something that I want to be able to do. Whether I get on that level or not, just being able to like stand side by side with those guys and be able to do it, it's like next level stuff.
I mean, that's one of your fellow Liberators right there. Shouts to Kaz, shouts to Baguline, shouts to Press as well.
Yes, you know. He's actually watching right now.
Oh, dope. And yeah, dude, I always ask people for one tip. Can I ask you for a tip of how to beat writer's block?
A tip?
Yeah.
I would say don't force it, and use the writer's block as a way to expand musical horizons, like using it to journey into different genres. You know, one of my go-tos is like psychedelic 60s music. I really love like psych rock and the grungy guitars and all that kind of stuff. But when I get writer's block and I can't think of anything, you know, I listen to other artists. I feel like hearing what they have to say is important to giving me a voice to say something too.
100%.
And that goes for listening to hip hoppers too. If I get writer's block, I just put a playlist on YouTube or something, watch videos, study how artists rhyme, like trying to figure out their patterns. You know, when you listen to an artist for a certain amount of time, you can hear what they're almost going to say next, or like how they're going to structure it to a certain beat or something.
Yeah.
So being able to do that kind of just like makes the gears click in your head a little bit, and then the rhymes just
can be a jump off point for inspiration too, right? Like,
yeah. And again, like even when I was younger, like you know, you're rhyme hungry, you know, you're constantly rhyming, you're writing like pages and pages and pages and using this and taking that and scrapping this and writing more. And then now I kind of get into a mode where I write when I feel inspired by something, or like when I hear that one thing that's like, I can't not write to this, you know, I have to get on this like right now. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll hear a quote, or I mean, you said like go listen to other people's music. I listen to 7, 8, 9 hours worth of independent hip hop every fucking week.
Yeah, and I can imagine, man.
Dude, a lot of it, you know, is not stuff I enjoy hearing, but like sometimes I hear something and it's like, I think I'm not going to like the style of the song. And then halfway through it, I'm like, oh, okay, actually I could kind of fuck with this. Like I see what he's doing here. And like, you can just even take little pieces from that where it's like, okay, I get it a little bit just from listening to it. You know, I see what's happening over there, or you hear a line that somebody says and it's like, yo, that makes me think of this to follow it up, but he took it the other direction. Like, I could probably fucking write about that and nobody would ever know that I was, you know, got the reference from this guy or whatever. But I think it's important to always be taking in media of all types, because it can happen for movies or whatever else too, right? So
definitely. Yeah, I have a huge VHS tape collection. When, you know, things kind of dry up or something, or I'm trying to write a song, I'll put a movie on and I'll be kind of like tuning in and out, you know, and then you get like those little references that we were talking about earlier on Threads, where it's like you pick up on little lines in a movie, or a way something happens in a movie, and that becomes part of your song, you know?
Yeah, for real, man. Were you ever on Twitter? Did you jump from Twitter to Threads, or does Threads new?
I'm still kind of on both, but like, I don't know. Being musical and trying to like push songs out, you kind of have to be on like the socials, you know? Like I really wanted to take like a break from all social media, and then this album dropped and I was like, oh shit, like I can't do that right now. So I gotta get
I
back
guess I
into it.
will do the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, but no. But yeah, like I haven't been on like you scroll through X and just see the dumpster fires and all that stuff, and it's hilarious as entertainment value. But yeah,
Yeah, it's not
got to try
something
and stay off that
I
stuff.
wade into as much anymore. I used to be you know, addicted to Twitter for sure, just like scrolling it all the fucking time and shooting my mouth off at
Totally.
random shit. But
Yeah,
now, yeah, I've
and that's fun too.
pulled back a little bit, and there's more on Threads. But I like Threads. I don't know. I was gonna thank you for coming over to Threads because I feel like, dude, there's a lot of MCs who just they want to make their music. They don't want to say anything else, and I've kind of always just been like, guys, it's just words. We're just fucking spewing
Yeah,
out some thoughts like we do in our songs. Like, I don't know, put something out there. So yeah, I appreciate it when other artists actually are, I guess, like genuinely active on other social media
yeah,
platforms and like will respond to someone else's question or whatever. That was totally
yeah.
me asking about this interview and whether I should be asking you about bars or not. But yeah, I had said like, do MCs hate it when people ask them about fuck was it about like explaining their own bars or whatever, right? Because
Yeah,
to a degree, man, I feel like art is just supposed to be art and it's supposed to be take it how you want to take it. And like rap
yeah,
genius kind of
definitely.
annoys me, you know, but like,
And
I
what I
don't know.
find crazy about hip hop is like the amount of lingo and the amount of slang and the amount of coded language, that if you hear an artist, like if you're not familiar with what hip hop is or like where the artist is from,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, what the hell is this guy saying? Like, what? I can't understand any of this. But like when you pick up on the slang or like the references that they're delivering, like listening to somebody like MF Doom, where it's like super lore driven and references and multiple characters and all this
References
stuff.
all over the place. Yeah.
Totally. And if you don't get it, then you're like, he's just saying nonsense. But like when you actually tune into like the vibe that he's talking or like what he's talking about,
Yeah.
it's
You start
it's
to understand
genius,
the supervillain metaphor a little bit more. And
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
totally, man.
Layers on layers on layers, man. Dude, this has been
Exactly.
fun. I appreciate you spending time talking to me. I got just a couple questions I ask everybody to wrap things up.
Cool.
Can you describe the local scene? You're in Calgary now, but if you want to talk about Edmonton because you know it better, go ahead.
Yeah. I love the Edmonton local scene. Going to shows or doing the weekly ciphers at Cypher Wild. I was like a resident there for years. I used to live in Churchill Square whenever they did it, and I would bring my kids there and doing stuff like Kaleido Fest with Kyrie and being able to get on the main stage or even just like the stage that's powered by bicycles.
Right.
It's crazy. There's so much ingenuity in hip hop in Edmonton. And there seems to be a lane for every type of hip hop that you would want.
Yeah.
If you want like the hard body stuff, there's venues and there's artists for that. And if you want the community grassroots stuff, there's venues and artists for that. And if you just want conscious stuff or to hear beats or hear samples or Sampler Cafe and Scratcher is another great event to go to, and you won't even
Oh
hear
yeah.
an MC. You'll just hear artists making art. And I don't know if that's all the way down here in Calgary, but in Edmonton, that was the one thing that was like when I was out and active, that was the things that I look forward to every
Yeah.
week.
It seemed like it was a vibrant and alive hip hop scene to me.
Yeah.
You know, for a city the size of Edmonton that you don't think of as like an entertainment hub or whatever, I was always surprised by how often people would do shows and there were open
Yeah.
mics and yeah, it was good. I liked the Edmonton scene. Can I ask you specifically? Imperative, he's a producer from Toronto, and he messaged me earlier this week asking me. He says he's going to be in Calgary coming up here sometime, and he wanted to set up some sort of like producer uh showcase slash whatever something. And I was like, I don't know, man. I know guys who do like Sampler Cafe and Scratcher up in Edmonton, but like
Yeah.
I don't really
I'm sure that
know
that
the
connect. Yeah.
producers community in
I'm sure the
Calgary.
connection is there, and there must be something. Like I'd probably reach out to the Dragonfly Empire or even
I told him to talk to the Dirty Sample. I was like, that's a
there you
guy I
go,
know who
man.
makes dope beats in Calgary. I gave
Totally.
him a couple names, but yeah, hopefully he manages to lock in or whatever. Because that's, like I said, that's what this is all about, is like trying to just help artists build up that Rolodex so that like when it's time to play a show in fucking Saskatoon, you can be like,
Yeah.
well, who's from Saskatoon?
You got a list of
go out
artists.
there and, you know, play with them and do a show, have them open, have some local support. Yeah, but
That's dope, man.
how about, can you name artists from your scene people should be up on? Make everybody do this just for the sake of shout outs.
Yeah, I would say, though I think he's down in Calgary right now, I would say K Riz, Kaz Mega, obviously Liberators. If you want the classics or like the heads, the OGs, you got like your Brothers Grimms, your Kriples, the Doom Squad. And just on the grassroots tip, like you have the Collective Conscious kids who are still out there doing their thing.
Yeah.
Creation, who's been holding down Cypher Wild for years, and the Cypher Wild in general.
And now he's like out running around globally. I was talking to him. I hit him in January trying to line up an interview, and he was like, I'm going on tour. I hit him again last week being like, yo, can we do that interview yet? And he's like, I'm on tour. Getting back from tour at the end of September. What about October? So hopefully that can happen. But yeah, busy guy. But
for sure, man.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of talent out there. Appreciate you helping spread the word about it. How about your own stuff? Any plans for shows or tours or anything like that coming up that we can tell people to check out?
Not necessarily shows and tours. Got some stuff in the works for some projects with a couple different producers. So Propo being one of them from the Shoguns. Working on something with Golden Child right now. And then just trying to crank out some of this Liberator stuff.
How about, is it in the cards to go do the Europe show? I feel like I see artists go do the Europe tours or whatever, right? And like I talked to, you know, Arlo about like, how the fuck did you do that? And he was like, I got on a showcase over there, and then it's basically shaking hands and asking people if you can come play their cities, like, you know. And I was like,
I would love to get on board with something in like Amsterdam or anywhere in the Netherlands, UK. He's got a crazy scene, so like I'm never going to say no, but getting to that point is obviously that's steps ahead. So got to.
But knowing some homies over there it's got to count for something. Surely they know the clubs
wheels a little bit for sure.
You could get into, how about, what's the best way for people to support you or other artists that they like?
I guess the best way is either follow them directly or follow me directly. Faux Beer on Instagram, or just YouTube, Self the Bluest Eye, Liberators, you know.
Where did the Faux Beer handle come from? That was a recent thing.
So that was a gaming thing. Me and my friend, who's kind of like along with me when I was doing the initial things for the sobriety stuff, the initial kind of journey. And I used to buy like the literal like non-alcoholic beer all the time, or whenever we would go out to eat and be like, yo, do you have anything that's non-alcoholic or whatever? So then it just became like this thing of like, you know, it's faux beer, it's fake beer. And then it bled into all my my gaming handles. And then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna throw it on there.
Nice, man. I noticed your stream setup or whatever, and you're sounding crystally. You must have a decent microphone and nice headset, gaming chair I see there or whatever. Do you stream? Do you actually have Twitch or whatever?
I was doing it for a little bit, but again, the timing thing is it's difficult with work and life and having a kid and trying to balance that with music and stuff. So it kind of took a bit of a backseat, but I wouldn't mind having something that's like, I guess, more chill and hip hop orientated, where it's like either like MMOs in the background and just doing reviews or listening to beats and stuff like that, and then going that way. Obviously, like getting older, it's so hard to keep up with like competitive gaming nowadays. It's ridiculous.
That's the thing. So I game and listen to hip hop, but I get whooped. I'm no good at actual gaming.
Dude,
I'm just here to listen to hip hop.
Good, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Like my 10-year-old and whoop me in Fortnite. It's wild.
Yeah, I've got a 11-year-old nephew who is probably better than us, if not. Man, he will soon. Anyways, if he's not right now, but. Yeah. All right, man. Where can people find you on social media most often, if not Twitch?
Probably Instagram Faux Beer, Threads, Facebook Self the Bluest Eye.
Right on, man.
And then
Okay. Well, this has been fun, dude. It was good to catch up, and looking forward to hearing new music. Appreciate you sending over Guardians of Boombap, and
my pleasure.
Dude, I'll catch you on the flip side.
All right, bro. Peace.
All right, everybody. So thanks for hanging out. You can search for Guardians of Boombap Bandcamp. I think that was what I Googled, and it'll be the first one on there. I think it's under the record labels Bandcamp site actually, but Guardians of Boombap, you'll find it. It's a dope album. I think it was like 14 tracks or something along those lines. So definitely like a full listen, and it's dope. It's good front to back. Even I've come to accept and appreciate artists rapping in other languages more often. So there's definitely artists rapping in their own languages on that project. But the beats are purest boom bap, and if that's your style, you should definitely check that out. Like you said, follow him over there on Facebook. These interviews, did I say Facebook? Follow him on Facebook and whatever other socials, Instagram, all that. But these interviews are going to be happening Tuesday nights over here. Fly in formation. It's not going to be every Tuesday, I don't think. I'm going to try to do every Tuesday, but right now I don't have like 2 months booked like I had earlier in the year. Earlier I did 30 interviews before June. From January to June, I was doing 1 a week. And then through June, I did 2 a week. And now I'm just going to do it more relaxed. I'm just going to reach out to people on a week-to-week basis and advertise the things a day or two before. But I appreciate people coming by, saying hi on Twitch. I'm often on there through the afternoons, gaming, working on After the Smoke is Clear. If people don't know, After the Smoke is Clear, Atsick is the name of the mix show that I do every week. My homie DJ Dice has been helping out with the actual DJing. And what we do is put together hour-long mixes of new independent hip-hop every week. People should check that out. You might be hearing this over on mixcloud.com/Doobyis. And if you are, I appreciate you. But yeah, that's all for tonight. I'll catch you all next time. New episode at 6 should be up on Thursday. Peace. Oh, hey, and big thanks to everybody who came through and chat. I see y'all over there. Mainflow and Rich Mitchinson and Easewax I saw weigh in. Wilberstein. Shouts to all y'all and all the stay-at-homies who do join me on twitch.tv/Doobyis. People should hit follow there. Hit follow youtube.com/Doobyis. Doobyis.com is the hub for everything that I do.